Okay, in today's video, I've compiled a series of 8 of my 2-minute lessons. Now, each of these lessons is focusing on a technique that I think beginners need to know in order to improve. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to talk about Hatchlines, and I'm just going to give you some practice techniques that you can do to improve your hatchline work. And as you can see here, I have a simple sphere with some hatchlines. So what hatchlines are just simple strokes that are parallel to one another. And it really does take a lot of practice to get comfortable working with hatchlines, and oftentimes a mistake is to go too fast. And if you don't have a lot of control, then you can get some really sloppy hatchlines. But one way that I like to practice my hatchlines is that I'll draw 2 parallel lines, and then I will work at connecting my 2 lines with hatchline work. As I make my way down the 2 parallel lines, I am really trying to focus on getting my starting point and my ending point to connect. Now, as I mentioned, beginners tend to rush this a little bit, so there is no problem slowing down. In fact, going slower at first is really going to actually help you get a more consistent line. The more you do this, the more your lines will be consistent. Now, another thing that I do want to show you is that if we draw those 2 lines again, this time I'm going to do a little bit different, but I'm going to lift my pencil as I draw my stroke. And that little quick little flick is going to give me a variation to my line. You'll notice that it comes to a point. Now, what I want to do here is try to vary my line weight with my pencil and have that point connect to that second line. And this one is a great exercise to get a little bit of thickness variation on your lines. Okay, the next technique that I like to do is draw a simple square. The more you draw hatch lines, the more your pencil will start to flatten, will cause a naturally thicker line. So I'm going to just rotate my pencil as I'm drawing to make sure that my line is consistent. Let me do that again. The one thing that I want to tell you about this one is I want you to work on pressure. So I'm going to start light, and as I make my way to the other side of the square, I'm going to start to thicken my line work and create darker lines. Now, you can do the same thing the other way. It's really good practice to get used to changing the direction of your line work. Now, continuing this, I want to show you another example of something I like to do. After I draw my square, I'm just going to draw a random shape. That random little squiggle will now be my new shape in which I'm going to attempt to connect my hatch lines. This gives me a little bit different organic shapes to work within, and now it's a matter of just trying to create my hatch lines inside that shape. Again, slowing down when you start to feel yourself getting off parallel. It's okay to slow down when you're working on your hatch lines. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Today, I want to talk about straight lines and how to improve your straight lines. The first thing I want to mention, though, is that our wrist will naturally create an arc. So we're going to be fighting that. So I'm going to show you some methods on how to improve your straight lines. The first method is to just simply create 2 points. In fact, anytime I'm drawing a straight line, that is probably my preferred method. When you have a visual, it's easier to connect those lines. Now, the second method, I'm going to do this again, 2 points. The second method to help improve your straighter lines is to do what's called a phantom line. And what I'm going to do is just slide my pencil back and forth until I get a good visual, and then I'm going to drop my pencil down on the paper to draw that line. Now, again, another technique that can help is to actually not move your wrist, but move your whole arm. So instead of rotating my wrist, I'm going to be sliding my wrist. And so by sliding your wrist, you're going to be able to create that straight line. Also, you might notice that I'm holding the pencil back. When I hold the pencil too far up, I have more of a habit to follow the arc of my wrist. Holding it back allows me to get a straighter line. Another technique, let's do the 2 dots, is to do a dashed line. This dashed line allows me to correct my line as I go. So I'm lifting my pencil and then repositioning it if I fall off the straight line, and that allows me to get a visually straighter line. And then the last thing I want to talk about, this one I will sometimes use, and I don't know what to call it except for maybe the palm technique, where I'll actually rest my fingers on the paper to give me some more stability, and that allows me to draw a straight line. And one more thing I want to talk about too is the speed at which you draw your line. So lastly, I will show you 2 lines. One, the faster you go, the more straight it will be, but it will not be accurate. Alternatively, we can do a slow line, and the slower we go, the more likely we can have that line be accurate, but it's not going to be necessarily perfectly straight. It'll be accurate, but not straight. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this 2-minute lesson. So today what I want to talk about is perspective, and I'm just going to share with you the 3 different types of perspective that I think beginners should know. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw my horizon line. And now I'm going to draw a shape, a cube, using 1-point perspective. So I'll first add a single point anywhere on my horizon line, and then I'll start to draw in a square. Now this square, if I want to create this in 3D perspective, I can use the point as an aid to help me draw the correct perspective. And I'm going to do that by taking a line all the way to the focal point. And I'll do the same thing with the top. And those are the lines I'm going to follow to get my square into perspective. So I will draw the edge of the square, and then I'll connect those lines. I can continue to draw a square in perspective using those perspective lines. And it doesn't matter where I draw my shape, I will always follow the perspective lines back to the focal point. Okay, let's move on to the second perspective. This one is a 2-point perspective. I've drawn my horizon line, and I'm going to add 2 focal points. And this time I'm going to draw one edge of my square. In order to get this square into my 2-point perspective, I'm going to take the top and I'm going to draw back the perspective lines to the corresponding focal points. And I'll do the same thing with the top. And once I've done that, you can see that I have the right edge and left edge of my square. So I'll go ahead and finish off all of the edges. And there I have a square in 2-point perspective. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the 3-point perspective. Now, I want to say, first I'm going to draw my horizon line, but there is such thing as a 4-point perspective. It's a little more advanced and something that I don't think a beginner necessarily needs to know at this point. But I have my horizon line, and I'm going to draw 1 and 2 focal points. But now I'm going to go way up and draw a 3rd focal point. So this 3rd point way up here is going to be where all of my edges, my vertical edges, will point to. So let's go ahead and draw a square. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a couple of guidelines. So I'm going to draw my edge of my square, but I have to follow the line that points to my focal point. So I'll draw the line right there. Now, following the same practice as the 2-point perspective, I'm going to draw my perspective lines, my edges, to meet the 2 perspective focal points. And now I can continue and finish drawing the edges of my square, but that needs to follow the line that goes to my 3rd focal point. So there is my square using 3-point perspective. I can do it again. This time I'm going to actually connect the far point, and these far points are going to help me shape the bottom of my square. And that's a quick overview of different perspectives. and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Today I'm going to talk about pencil grip. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is a tight pencil grip, and this is a pencil grip that is most commonly used for writing. And I've got some practice sketches here that we're going to try with each of these grip. So with a tight grip where I am choked all the way down almost to the tip of the pencil, I'm going to go ahead and try to redraw these shapes. And one thing you'll notice is that you do tend to have more control with a tighter grip. And the problem is, though, that you also tend to produce a darker line and you have more limited range of movement. So while this is great for fine detail and handwriting, and as you can see, I naturally want to go to a looser grip, you'll notice that you are very limited to how you can draw. The next grip that I want to talk about is a looser grip, and that grip, I'm just going to move my grip all the way to the midpoint of the pencil. And we're going to draw the same shapes. Now, with this grip, one thing that you can do is get a much lighter mark on your paper. It's much easier to draw straighter lines and to control the pressure of your pencil so that you're not getting a darker line. And then the last grip I want to talk about is probably a more extreme version of the loose grip, and I'm actually going to hold the pencil all the way back. But I'm going to do one more thing, and I'm not going to let my wrist touch the surface. So I'm going to hold my wrist above the surface, and I'm going to draw these shapes. And I want to point out that as I'm doing this, one thing this allows me to do is to use my entire arm. Now, I drank a little coffee this morning, so I'm a little shaky, but this grip is particularly good for larger sketches, larger gesture sketches, something that I might be doing over the size of the paper. Whereas the loose grip in the middle is something greater for a smaller page sketch. And that's it with grips. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Today, I want to talk about continuous line drawings, and they're also known as one-line drawings, but the goal here is to draw a subject without lifting your pencil. You also want to try to keep your eyes on your reference photo. Now, you can glance down a couple of times just to make sure that your lines are in the right spots, but I really want to challenge you to keep your eyes on your reference photo and feel that connection between your eyes and your hand. This exercise is a great way to improve hand-eye coordination. It also helps build confidence in your line work. Today, I'm going to talk to you again about perspective, specifically how to draw in perspective and how to capture that foreshortening effect. Now, the trick is to kind of visualize the perspective in a grid. Now, if I were to draw a grid that is not in perspective, the one way I would go about doing this is to find the center point and then starting to divide my lines by finding each center point. So now that I have two more shapes, I'm going to find the center point again, and I could keep going to break this image up into as many grid components as I need. And I'm going to do the same thing on the horizontal line as well. So now I visually have divided this into a grid. However, that doesn't solve my problem of getting it into perspective. So I want to show you a couple of tricks. First, I'm going to draw my shape that is in perspective. Now, finding the middle point for my horizontal lines is going to be the same technique. I'm going to find the middle point of this line, and I'm going to find the middle point of this line, and I'm going to connect the two. Same thing, as it's divided up, I'm going to now find the middle point of this line segment, and then I'm going to find the middle point of these line segments and connect that. So I have my horizontal grid, but the trick comes into finding the vertical lines. In order to do this, I am going to connect a dot between the corners of my grid. And when I draw the line, I will make an X. And when I make an X, that middle of the X becomes the middle point of my grid in perspective. So I know that this is the exact middle of this shape. I can do that again. I can take this point and this point with this shape right here and draw another X. And what I will do is I will divide that shape into half, and then again with this one, I have my vertical lines for my grid. And notice how I get that foreshortening effect. Now, another way to do that is to first start with your grid lines, and I'm going to add my first vertical line, and then I will draw my next vertical line. It doesn't matter how far away I place these because I will use these two lines to identify the next position. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start to find the middle point of my next line. And this is where the trick comes in. I'm going to find the bottom point and the middle point, and I'm going to connect those 2 points with a straight line, and I'm going to go all the way to my top perspective line. From here, that is the next line that I draw, so I will draw that straight down. I'll do that again, find the middle point, and go back to the previous line, find the bottom point, and draw a straight line that connects to the top of my perspective. And I can keep doing that. In fact, you can do it on the fly by tracing your pencil, going down, coming back, tracing your pencil through the middle point, coming down, going back, tracing your pencil through the middle point, going down, and coming back. So it's a pretty easy way to draw in perspective. Today, I want to talk to you about drawing the negative space. As you can see, I have a reference photo up on the screen, and what I'm going to be doing is trying to draw the negative space of my photo rather than the positive object. And the reason for this is that it helps you to look at your object in a different way. Most of the time when we're drawing an object, we tend to stop looking at the reference photo and draw what we think the object looks like. By drawing the negative spaces, it forces you to see the shapes differently and more accurately. Now, it also has a tendency to kind of slow you down and make you draw more deliberately because you're drawing something that you wouldn't normally draw, so you're more intentional about the lines you're making. This is a great way to improve your form and silhouette drawings. Now, another reason why I like to practice drawing negative spaces is because it tends to simplify complex subjects like this plant. If you have a lot of visual information on your scene, try drawing the negative shapes first. You find that the positive forms usually fall into place much easier. Once you've finished your negative spaces, I encourage you to go back in and finish the drawing. In today's video, I want to talk to you about values, and specifically how to control your values. So I have a quick practice set up with 5 boxes, and I'm going to practice my values using these boxes. On the far right, you'll see that I'm starting to shade this box in with the darkest value. And once I finish that, I'm going to move over to the left box and try to shade this in with the lightest value I can. Now that I've established my 2 extreme values, I'm going to pick the center box and try to get a value that's in between the other 2. Now, I'll continue to do this for the other boxes, where each one is shaded slightly darker than the next. Now, this practice really helps you to get a feel for the pencil pressure. And that's what I want you to focus on, is how much pressure you're using in order to get that value. Okay, we're going to do one more practice, and this time I'm going to draw a long rectangle. And the goal here is to shade the rectangle from left to right, starting with the lightest value and gradually adding pressure to my pencil in order to get the darkest value. And again, the trick here is to really think about your pen pressure and gradually add pressure as you work your way left to right. And when you're done, it should look something like this. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to find that at least one of these tips will help you immediately improve your sketching skills. And if you'd like to see more of this content, please make a note in the comments below. That's just going to help me know what kind of content you want to see. And if you already haven't, please give this a like and subscribe.